The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome, everybody. Another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft host. S&P up 7 points as we speak. Volume 2.1 billion shares. So volume has finally picked up in this fall, and even on Fridays. So we'll keep an eye on that. Of course, the bigger news out here is the Apple earnings, but kind of muted, up 0.6% on the NASDAQ, up just 0.3 on the S&P 500, and just a little over 0.1% on the Dow. So not real big movements out of the other indexes. As we said yesterday, probably the most interesting thing is all of last month, 5 stocks in the NASDAQ 100 ended up returning 94% of all the money, and gives you just a little bit of an idea how thin and winner-take-all the market is. Even with stocks pulling back, people just buy other stocks, and it is one of these things where you just want to buy something else as quickly as you can. In breaking news right now, we've got Qualcomm in play with Avago. Avago, since most people don't recognize the name if they haven't been around for a while, that's the old Broadcom and the rest of the RF Micro, and just a bunch of them got together. It's up about 4% right now. Qualcomm is, did I get that on there? No, I probably ought to add that here. I was looking at Qualcomm mostly because these guys have the Great Wall of China when it comes to patents. They've been in a spat with Apple and I think they've got the pull to actually keep Apple from shipping the products into the United States if they wanted to. Now, the question is whether or not that Qualcomm will just rather be green-mailed out. And, of course, then Broadcom has all those patents, and they can play nice with the chips that they have with Apple already. We'll see. One of the things more interesting was that, of course, earlier in the week we had all that news about Broadcom having a spat with Apple, and everybody sold it off and went short it, thought that it was going to be kind of pounded. But the reality is that this is one of these companies that does have, I'm going to say, the best patent portfolio of anyone. There's been a fairly decent short interest in there. Not a lot of people pulling the trigger yesterday on it. Let's take a quick look at Avago, AVGO. But Avago, we had a lot of people shorting it yesterday too. So kind of interesting move going into Apple's earnings, but I have a feeling a lot of people got caught on the wrong side of that. But we'll see. Anyway, we're taking a look at this. We're going to look at the rest of the market. Kind of running out of time to go short before Christmas. Normally, you get about one more week where you get downside action. That's for tax selling on losers, not on winners. But been a slow roll higher today. Started off pretty slow. Everybody kind of looking at everything. Nobody yelling, no red flags on this tax deal yet. I think we're probably going to have at least a couple of hours next week. They're going to feel like the wings fell off the airplane. And my guess is that will shock everybody into action in Washington, D.C., and they'll get something done next week. I don't think they want to be around when the president comes back from Asia with egg on their face. But we shall see. Anyway, the market's kind of pulled up a little bit here today. Like I said, you got just a little bit longer to go, maybe another week out here to find people that will sell tax losses, and that can put a little bit of a hat on the top of the market. But after that, it's the slow move up. And generally, the best thing to do is look for stocks with high short positions and see those people slowly cover into the end of the year. So, that's about it at the moment. As always, we like to come to you at this time.
The following takes place between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
And what else? That's kind of it. We'll get into a little bit of news, and then we'll start looking at charts. I've got some emails to answer, and that's about it. Okay. Oh, forgot to play it.
And it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day in little late. On this day in 1957, the first animal into space, a dog named Laika, aboard the Sputnik 2 spacecraft. We didn't know in 1957, Russians or the Americans, whether or not you could actually live in space. If after a few moments of no gravity, you would die. Actually, a little bit more. But that was it. Anyway, he was a Siberian Husky, lived as a stray on Moscow's streets before being enlisted. Well, you know what it is to be enlisted in the Soviet Empire. Became really the first animal off the planet. Survived for several days as a passenger. They had little EKGs on it. We're taking a look at it, and you know what? They said, I think people can actually live. And so they sent somebody up in a few years later. Electrodes attached to her body provided scientists on the ground with important information about biological effects of space travel. She died after the batteries of her life support system ran down. And they sent several animals up after that, too. But well, on this day in 1957, at least an animal got off this planet, if not farther. So let's get into other stuff like charts. Let's take a quick look at Qualcomm. Again, this is kind of one of these great short squeeze things, whether this is true or not. Pretty interesting idea to get out here fairly late in the Friday afternoon and pull the trigger on these. But this goes back and blows away, probably with volume by the end of the day. This huge gap down on the 23rd of January of this year. Down with 95 million shares. We're up, let's say 32 million shares so far. But certainly washed out everybody that was short this thing from back on the 23rd. There were a lot of naysayers out there about Qualcomm. I have not been one of them. And what did we talk about it yesterday or Wednesday about me saying I was wondering when they were going to come out and really start advertising against Apple for their products compared to the Broadcom products. So maybe it makes sense that if Qualcomm went away, they could make nice with Apple and Broadcom sell. Maybe it actually makes a little business sense to consolidate everything in one company. It's a winner-take-all market.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen, live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den, absolutely free, for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls. Now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And S&P up 7.5 points. Wouldn't be surprised to see us either hit 2,600 on the S&P by the close and or go back and close at 2580. My guess is we're probably going to have some hijinks before the end of the day, and we shall see. But anyway, keep an eye on that. My guess is you get into Friday, like a late day like this, and you get a lot of spikes. Not uncommon to see some profit taking on some of these, and some of these things are fairly narrow. So we'll take a look at that. Anyway, Qualcomm and, of course, Vago, the big news of the day. And on the heels of Apple's earnings, kind of take a look at it. So what else do we have going on? I'm going to look at some of the earnings out here today, if I can actually find them. There they are. We were all pretty shocked to see the response from earnings in Buffalo Wild Wings. And, of course, today we have Wingstop doing a similar move. Come on, Mr. Internet. Just give us a little bit. There we are. Breakout on Wingstop today. Of course, the pizza companies are saying that they're doing a whole lot less business. But apparently wings are now much more of a business for evening dinners. And these guys are doing fairly well selling wings, just like Buffalo Wild Wings. Nice spike, big volume, kind of just a little doji. You'd really have to worry about this thing, again, closing below 35.91. Pretty huge spike on this thing that came back. BWLD. And look at that one. Now this one spiked. It's kind of given back, come back to this gap. Had a little bit of that yesterday. It's up on light volume too. I don't know if I think that this thing is over, but this is the sweet spot for Buffalo Wild Wings. Football, basketball, baseball through the spring and March Madness. tends to be the strongest part of the Buffalo Wild Wings and Wingstop and a lot of those others. So you can keep an eye on that. For every winner, though, there were about 3 losers over the last couple of days. To give you an idea, as I said, it's a winner-take-all kind of market. El Poco Loco was a IPO that came out, and they were selling themselves as another Chipotle, and never actually got that kind of buzz around them. They did all the things to do that. Kind of reminds me of the early days of the gold miners back in like 2003 and 4, maybe even earlier, maybe 2002. It is one of these things where you go, okay, everybody's happy about being in the gold miners. So there were all these kind of penny stocks out there that changed their name to something that sounded like gold miners. And of course, they were all just stocks that were doing nothing, but they changed their name to gold miners, you know, something that would make you think they were in the gold miners. And they got enough people. And of course, we still had the boiler rooms selling stock back then, but it's been a thing that's been around forever. You still see it these days. These guys tried to hitch the wagon into being the next CMG. CMG, of course, been beat up, and by kind of tying their wagon to CMG is similar fate, maybe not quite as bad, but this was one of these ones where you just had to, or at least I scratched my head when these guys came out and thought, an even faster food version of it may not be that big of a deal. Now we've got some other companies reporting last night. Like I said, for every winner, there was about 3 big losers over the last few days. And the next one we want to talk about is Data. This is Tableau Software. This company actually just blew up everybody. Certainly looks like it's coming back to $65 to me. They make charting software that makes what people call in business a dashboard. Let's say that you're Amazon and you're a manager of one of the divisions. The idea is to have all these charts up just like the dashboard of a car, so you can know how many orders you got in the last hour, last 15 minutes, last 2 days, what your average run rate is. And if you're Amazon, you can get right on the horn and the blower and go, you know what, I need 3 more containers of ectoplasmic slime because that's been a big seller here. And you can have that on the next ship coming back over. So the whole idea is if you're a big cheese out there, you can have these guys build you a dashboard that shows you everything and the way it's running in the company. Pretty neat stuff. I always thought, though, that the amount of people that they would sell to just wasn't that broad. I mean, there's not that many people that are going to sit there and do that. There are a handful of people in every company. But is it going to be Microsoft where everybody's running a version of Microsoft, or is it going to be Salesforce where everything you run on your company is it? It isn't. It's kind of like it's kind of like Excel, right? Maybe even a smaller version of Excel. Yeah, well, the bean counters love to play with it, and will a handful of people in the company use it effectively? Yes, but is it going to be Word where every single person uses it? That's where the problem comes in. And Tableau software is probably, I'm going to say for every 100 people that probably in a business that could possibly use Word, 1 out of that 100 could possibly use Tableau software. So it's a pretty thin market, and it was priced fairly large. It had a nice gap up back on, what is that, the 3rd of August. But that's been it. And you can see on the chart that there wasn't any. You had 1 day of strength, and that was it. You never had any follow through, and this thing gave it up in a day. My guess is that you're going to have a lot of tax selling. This really starts to bring in tax selling before the end of the year. These guys that bought back to September 11th are all pretty much in a losing position out here. And if you own Apple and you own this, probably you sell equal amounts of Apple and Tableau software. And I think that's kind of interesting. That way you take money off the table without paying taxes, and those two wash. But you're going to see a lot more of that. You're going to see people that have winners and want to sell their losers, and they'll sell their losers and take the winner off. And that does tend to get a little selling on the winners, but a whole lot of selling on the losers. And tends to mean if you're doing badly today and in the next week, you're probably going to be doing badly into the end of the year. I agree with Polar. I don't know on what. I just looked. So if you can tell me what you agree with me on, I'll appreciate it. Anyway, we're going to go through a few more of these earnings over the day. Take a look at the indexes themselves. And we'll be back with you at 3:30, of course, to talk with technology with Tom O'Brien, up 8.5 points on the NASDAQ. Around S&P.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Directions Daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
We're at 2588 on the S&P, up 8 points. But, man, it sure feels like they want to either pop this to 2,600 on the close and or roll it over by the end of the day. And I think there's an equal chance of both of those happening. All you need is one bad word about the tax bill, or you need one more buyout discussion. Maybe even before the end of the day, we start hearing things about Sprint and Verizon. But it could go either way. But this is kind of one of those markets that's, man, it looks like it's very, very tense one way or the other. 12 points up, maybe 8 points down. And it could happen all in the last 30 minutes of the day. So I think you're going to have to sit on your seats and wait for the close out here today. Got a question from one of our faithful emailers, Ken in Connecticut, asking me which stock I like the best out of a bunch that he has listed. I kind of like this Advanced Auto Parts store the best long term, but my guess is it's going to be another week or so before this thing finds a bottom. So we'd keep on it. Let's go to Lou in Palm Coast, Florida. How you doing today, Lou?
Pretty good. I'm looking at First Solar, FSLR, and it gapped up the other day, and there's a gap from 51.71 to 48.08. I see today it looks like it's going up on really light volume. Do you think it could get back and fill that gap?
I think it could. This company is a feast or famine in the way that stuff comes in. They got a big deal in Australia, and that deal came in for earnings, but there hadn't been any more announced that big. So do I think it easily could come back to 50? Yes.
Okay.
There were a lot of people short this stock. It was acting horribly up through earnings. I got out of it basically flat, but it was acting very horribly before earnings. And but you know, I'm not one to carry one of these things through earnings. And it went the other way, but they actually got that big Australian deal in this quarter, and that made all the difference in it. So it's gone back to this gap down, and that gap goes back to the what is that? The 28th of April. Let me look at it again here. You came down with 4.8 million shares. You spiked it for a day and then pulled back on pretty heavy volume the next day of almost 10 million shares. And now it's kind of bounced up here on light volume. So yeah, I think there was a lot of shorts in this position going into earnings, and I think you've kind of washed those out. So there's not going to be the surprise again, I think, in the next quarter. So what are you thinking? Back around 50?
Yeah, I was thinking about close to 49.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of these solar companies. They're still 4 times more expensive to put electricity in your house. When the prices drop and there's some solution for actually storing the electricity, I think these things could be big. Prices have come down a bit, but one of the things hitting Tesla over the last few days is the realization that there's not going to be a lot of government subsidies coming in to alternative energy. First Solar, I believe, Solar City, and a handful of others are all going to be losing those subsidies in 2018.
Okay.
So you're about what, 2 months?
Yeah.
Into that. Now I'm not exactly sure when those roll out in 2018, but they do roll out in 2018. So these guys aren't going to be getting the same level of green checks, at least from the U.S. government. Australia had some problems in the summer, and they were having a lot of blackouts. And the easiest thing to do, because it's kind of a desert country, it's cool at night and, downright cold in some places and very hot during the day. But, of course, when it's very hot in the day, guess what? There's lots of sun in Australia. So there's some places where this works very well, and some places like northern climates where it's snowing all the time that solar doesn't work at all. and they got, there was one deal with Solar City that got, I think, Maui. Again, I lived there for 10 years. The weather's beautiful. It rains 10 minutes a day between noon and 12:30 every day, and the rest of the day it's sunny. And of course, it's cool at night. So you don't need a lot of power. But if you need power 24 hours a day, like a place where it's very cold all the time, or at least half the year, or very hot all the time, like Florida, solar just doesn't do that great a job. So I think you're going to see a repricing of these solar companies into the fact that Germany cut them off last year. I don't think you're probably going to see any more deals like this with Australia. It was very expensive. So this may be, the absolute sweet spot in it, but I'd wait for this thing to come back down to the low 50s, at least.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
You bet. And again, these things are feast and famine like that because, if they're going to make any money, it's got to be really huge deals. And if you're talking about cheap solar panels, China's all over it. There are a lot of China companies building these solar cells on the cheap side. And, to do these things well is expensive because they're going to be outside in UV light. And one of the other things most people don't talk about is how fast these things deteriorate out in the sun, especially like Australia. You get, I think, 10 years, you're at 50 or 40% of the original power these things put out. So they do age fairly quickly. And I think, it's one of these things where I think a lot of these Tesla people that have had their cars 3, 4, 5 years are now starting to see the battery life of their cars, maybe at 50%. And that's also, starts getting people going, okay, used to have 250-mile range, now I got 125. Now, that may be fine still for everybody. But again, it was nice to have that 250-mile range. If I had a car, then I could drive up to Disneyland, or Disney World, actually, in Florida, and back on that. But not going to do that when the car is 3 or 4 or 5 years old. So we'll keep an eye on that. Okay, we're up 7 points on the S&P cash now, so we'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, light volume today. This thing's just kind of going back up here, but I think there's going to be a lot more discussion about it. Tesla, I saw a lot of headlines saying that the new tax bill took everything away from Tesla. And I thought it was very funny because during the primaries with Rubio and, God, I can't remember who he was talking to, but they already said, no, we're letting all this die in 2018. Both the solar and the EV additional money and subsidy for EVs. So there's nothing new in this. We'll be back in a minute.
Hi, folks. This is Tom O'Brien. If you'd like to be the bank and get the type of interest they receive instead of the low interest rates they give to clients, then I have an investment you may want to take a look at. I'm offering 4-year secured first mortgages on buildable city lots in St. Petersburg, Florida. The investment can be anywhere from $30,000 to $75,000 per buildable city lot. The interest paid is 7% per year, paid monthly. Depending on the investment, the income per month per lot ranged from $175 for a $30,000 investment to $437.50 for a $75,000 investment. If you are in the CD market, you want to look at this investment. St. Petersburg is located in Pinellas County, which is the densest county in Florida. If you're looking for an investment with your principal intact that pays a good interest rate, this may be for you. The supply is limited, so act now. For more information on these secured first mortgage opportunities, you can call me at 877-518-9190. That's 877-518-9190. 9190. Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how EverBank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? EverBank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? EverBank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
The TAS Profile Scanner Plus, developed by John Logan and his team, is a standalone piece of software that can change the way you trade. Let the TAS Profile Scanner work for you by scanning over 5,000 financial instruments such as stocks, ETFs, commodities, futures, and Forex. Right now, you can get a 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner Plus right at TFNN.com. And when you sign up, you gain instant access to John Logan's most recent webinar, How Price, Volume, and Time Make Market Profiles So Unique. This hour-long webinar with John Logan will walk you through the most powerful features of the scanner and how you can use it to become a more successful and profitable trader. You pay absolutely nothing for 30 days while you try out this software risk-free. For more information on the TAS Profile Scanner and to get your 30-day free trial today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
And we're back. Okay, so yeah, we were just talking about all that. I think I got a couple more emails to take a look at. Yeah, let's get back to a little bit of earnings. S&P kind of fading just a little bit. Let's get back to that right there. And we're up 6.5 points now. Volume is 2.35 billion shares, which is pretty good for a Friday. Finally getting out of that funk that we got into early in the summer with no volume on Mondays and Fridays. Now we're getting a lot more volume on Mondays and a lot more volume on Fridays, and the middle part of the week starting to be not really picking up that much compared to previous weeks. Anyway, we're going to keep an eye on this fairly close. Again, I'll be with Tom O'Brien at the bottom of next hour. We'll be talking some of these technology earnings and bat that ball around a little bit. In the meantime, I wanted to look at earnings today. AIG, the insurance company, I'm surprised no one saw this coming. I figured it had to already be in the downside, but you know, they were basically underwriters for a lot of those other insurance companies that really took it in the chin for the hurricanes. And I was kind of surprised that everybody didn't have that already factored in. It's off 4.5% today at $62. You got to figure that that's going to go probably into next quarter too, since we had, of course, the second one here in Florida. So you get kind of a 1-2 punch on this one. Probably, my guess is this thing is going to work its way back down to that 57.90 low back on September 8th. Over maybe between now and January or something. This is not a real fast mover, but you would think that more and more of those claims are going to get paid off. These guys have to backstop those insurance claims, and they're going to see a little bit more. So, okay. Well, what else do we have? Okay, the loser horn for today goes to, where's the loser horn? Stamps.com, STMP. This one was beyond me how it got to 225, but it was certainly the Beanie Baby and, man, everything else you can think of. It was the Bitcoin of the market. I never understood how this thing took off back on the 3rd. Thank God I wasn't short, of August. But it popped up with 4 million shares. Everybody thought this thing was going to the moon, but just a variety of things going on. But in a land where everybody's not using a lot of stamps, I mean, how many times? I use one stamp a month. So I'm not exactly sure why this goes on. And of course, you can do some electronic printing with it, and that's kind of an interesting part of the business. But it just seems to me like the last buggy whip manufacturer. Maybe someone will call me in and tell me why I'm all wrong on this one. I could see that, basically they were replacing a lot of stuff that the post office was doing, and that was interesting. But at some point, you have to say, really, this company's worth that much? Anyway, the reality hit the road today. Rubber hit the road, and we're out there. Okay, question in the den. Qualcomm trying to close buyout of NXP. Would Avago-Qualcomm merger be any incremental threat to Intel or other semis? It doesn't really change anything. Qualcomm has the Great Wall of China for patents. That ain't going away. Whether they're bought by somebody else or they do something else. So is the competition any better or worse if Qualcomm, an independent company, or part of another company and trying to buy NXP? Well, as far as I can tell, the near field stuff never really has been that big a deal. When's the last time you really heard anybody talk about near field technology? I mean, that seems to be way in the rearview mirror and no one really talks about it anymore. I remember how everybody was going to be using Apple Pay. That never happened. All the stuff that NXP was going to do, it's kind of interesting. It does gum up the works, though. I don't know if there's any kind of problems with NXP and Qualcomm and yet another suitor out there. And of course, this is just preliminary stuff with Avago and Qualcomm. So we don't know how and what would come in, whether or not the government would stand in the way of this one. I mean, they haven't been big on it lately. Would the cost of that mean, something going on here, more plants in the United States? Is that what they're going to have to do to grease the skids to get this deal to get through? Because that's kind of the new Trump modus operandi, isn't it? That if you want to build a plant here, you're going to get a lot of support. Looks like that weather may be clouding up a little bit if you want to continue moving all your stuff offshore. I don't know. A lot of different stuff going on out here. And it's probably going to take me the weekend to figure out exactly how these two companies would match what they, is there that much out here that these guys do that would be synergistic? But I think you've got to think that when two RF companies, radio frequency companies, come together, like Avago or Qualcomm, there's got to be some fairly significant stuff. Also, you can get rid of your junior engineers and keep your geniuses, which is always good. And you really don't need double the geniuses. You need a lot of junior engineers. But I don't know. Interesting idea. I don't think anything right off the top of my head jumps out why these things would happen. And Intel has been competing against this company. It would be just competing against Qualcomm and Avago together. I mean, Intel's had some incremental moves out here, but to me, I don't think Intel's future is in mobile. I keep on thinking Intel's future is in high-speed memory that they basically have a monopoly on now. And every day you turn around, they just had Intel, actually, let's pop that up. Intel just had a brand new drive with that memory come out a couple of days ago, and it is so smoking fast that some people are using it as actual memory. Like I don't know if you've been around long enough to remember RAM drives, but they're actually setting up some of these new memories systems for RAM drives. Now, Intel did kind of come off today, but it had already started down before any of this already. And yeah, if I was in Intel, you're probably going to get one more gap higher. That happened Monday. And then it looks like you'd have top of a three-gap move. Wait for this thing to come back to 42 bucks.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge, heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Hi, folks, this is Tom O'Brien. Come join me next hour as we bisect and dissect these markets. Right here on TFNN. Wow!
And wanted to look at another one that actually did well out here today, and that was Mercado Libre. They're kind of the PayPal of the south of the border countries. Huge pop out here. One of the reasons, besides earnings, this is probably going to be doing fairly well, is that you can move cash around, and Venezuela is circling the drain as we speak. And kind of interesting discussions today about Venezuela. Maybe that's putting a little bit of juice in the tank of the oil stocks today. It's up 2% too. But looks like Venezuela is going to have some problems, and the vice president of Venezuela is basically the guy from Narcos, and you never know when we're going to sneak in there and do a Panama on that guy. plus the figurehead out there. So there's a lot of stuff going on in there. That Mercado Libre doing kind of well on two fronts today. It has filled this gap up, and that is on the 12th. This came down with 3.1 million shares. It's only up on 2.3 million shares, but it is going to be. Howdy, Tom. How about howdy, Dave? Huh? Okay. So we got that. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on this. Market looks like maybe we're going to have some big moves before the end of the day. This doesn't look like everybody wants to sit on this 10 points underneath or 12 points underneath the big 2600. So we'll keep an eye on this, but my guess is that there are going to be a lot of people blink one way or the other before the end of the day, and news could flow either way. Put a nice little monkey wrench in what everybody is kind of complacent out here, I'm going to say. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to. We'll see you Monday. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.